is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're taking a look at 17's MANSAE Hide version. I know there is a Seek version, and I just picked one. This one felt, I don't know, I was just drawn to this one. So if they did something in the Seek version that I'm not able to see in the Hide, I'm sorry. But I know they were playing around with different angles of their dance practices in some of these earlier tracks. So I do know that, and I picked the one that was the most fixed pointed from the front. So that's why a lot of these I end up making that choice. Like I've said, I am on a 17 marathon. This is my second video on the marathon, but my third 17 reaction. So I'm definitely excited to continue on this journey with you guys. And without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and check it out.
Yeah. All right. Say the name. 17. Yeah.
Woo! Hey! I love that. Wordplay on slam dunk with the basketball. Super fun. Yes, with the airtime. Whoa, I like that. I know this little bit. It just shows you like the tracks are pretty iconic in this early era for sure for me. That was energy. Woo! Hey! I love this. So much energy here. Yeah, they're gonna keep revealing new people? Yeah, I love that. Love that. Hey, we've seen that before. Oh, cute! This is really good. I love that. I really like that. Okay, I feel like I'm gonna say that about all of them. Let's be honest. I really think like there's gonna be something pretty awesome, gimmicky, humorous about each one, and I think that's why a lot of you guys are fans of this group for that reason. From the top, I really love this, just starting from the forefront, having more of a huddle. I know we have a lot of people hanging out over here with one feature on the side, but it is really nice that he chose to wrap his hand around, so it kind of shows that he's enclosed, maybe against his own will, you know, that kind of setup, which is really nice. and how he chose to go down. It's just really nice to kind of, because I'm registering, like he helped me log, okay, there's this outside V that we're going to be interacting with, and not V, circle that we're going to be interacting with in some way. So it made it easier for us to catch how he was transitioning out of it. So that was really smart on his part to kind of use his hand to signal, hey, it's not just me, it's a collaboration between me and my outside frame. So I love that. Then him choosing to go around and then poking to create a reaction from our another feature. That right there, da-da-da, da-da-da, and he kind of responds looking away. Really fun, having them slowly go down. This was fun, fixing his hair. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was really fun. It just feels like they don't take themselves so seriously, and it helps me want to invest more into what they're doing, because when they're committed to it, it makes me captivated and want to be a part of it as a viewer. And I think that's a really big thing I'm starting to notice. Even though I'm 3 videos in, I can see this from a mile away, from their most recent stuff to their oldest stuff. That's something they have not changed in, and I absolutely love that. For me, I love a maintaining of an integrity of a group. I know with this group that they've stayed together. Every single one of them renewed their contract after year 7, which is, I know that's a really big deal for a number of this size. Normally you see a couple people leave. So I think it's incredible that you have all of them. To my knowledge, all of them have stayed through this entire time. Now they're in year 8, right? Year 8, 9 to that degree. Like, that's so impressive. That's just so funny. Like, let's just shimmy right here, you know, and they're kind of reacting to what he's saying. It's super fun. Then they all kind of run away. Then you have, it's not really a curtain, that's just like a taking the blanket off kind of formation change here. So now we're over here. That dun-dun, really fun, super nice there. That right there, doom, doom. So what's interesting is they're using their hand, the circular motion, to create a sense of speed change in the elbow. Boom, boom, and then they're locking it in. Using their hand, I would say just some basic cleanliness issues. And I always notice it in the very beginning, but I kind of don't touch on it for the rest of the time. But just noticing not everybody's on the same page here. I'm assuming this would be kind of the goal that you want it wrapped around and having your hand framed through. We do see that a lot. Some people, just the range is off, not really quite the content itself. You know, even one of them is kind of dipping their hand into a 4. It's just some of them are just not fully completing this motion. I would say my 3 over here are the ones that are our top 3 hitting it in that way. But I just noticed, since I stopped the way that I did, makes sense why he wasn't doing it, because he was featured in a different way. So I would just say there was only 2 out of the 5 guys that were just slightly off, but you know, so forgive me for what I just said about 30 seconds ago. I didn't get full context. I love that, how he chose, boom, just that accent there in the bass is really nice here. Also really fun, creating airtime. He drops low, everybody else jumps up to create more of that. It feels, you know, because it's more funk in concept here, you're going to see a lot more of these slides, these with the heel toes. You're going to see a lot of that intricacies, because James Brown, shout out, he is, you know, just the sound of that artist is such a huge influence on so much music that is funk affiliated. And so if you don't know who that is, check him out, because most artists who pursue any genre like this, they're going to be inspired by him in some way, shape, or form, or inspired by people who were inspired by James Brown. So that's a really big person to know, key figure-wise. I love that. Boom, da-doon, 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 da-doon. So that was pretty polyrhythmic from our feature, because he had to hit the tone, but also he's hitting da-da, da-da. It's just not a typical count or phrase that you would see people hit. So I really like that. Love that. Ding, ding, da. And then they choose to jump. Their airtime is so good. Like, I mean, of course, you have some of them just tuck jump, and then you have some of them just kind of do a little jump. This would be me, because this was me prior to my first ankle injury. This right here would be my after I rolled it the first time. This is me after I would roll it the second time. This is me now. I don't think I would take this risk nearly as much, because I would have an ankle brace. So this actually, this feels like the stages to Jessica's ankle recovery. This is me before, this is me after, because I didn't take care of myself as much as I should have. So take care of yourselves, kids. But honestly, it has nothing to do with me. Love that. He goes, woo, doom, doom, doom. Super fun. I love how he set this up. He chose to come hang out over here and be a hoop. Then you have one of them come up, and he's going to take the ball away. He takes the ball and he keeps it. That's a very impressive thing. A lot of times you don't see people do a sense of wordplay or do a sense of imagery or miming and maintain it throughout their entire verse or entire phrase that they're trying to justify. So I love how the people framing him are also responding to what he's doing. It's just fun. Then he chose to take it and just dribble through, and that's how they chose to do an add-on there. Everybody else is partying on, creating a great frame. It just feels fun. It's lively. They're keeping up the pace, even if they're not the ones being featured. And I love that. It's very communal, as things I've already said, you know? And you even had what was happening. I mean, of course, we got to talk about what's happening here. The fact that they're jumping up to allow him an escape route, but also people in the back, they were creating a really nice level, which is something I've already talked about before, where you have one or two of them, even though they're not in the main formation, they're in the back creating levels of opportunity to still keep the framing full. And I love that. It's very, it feels very theater 101 with extras, right? So when you work with extras in a theater, you don't want to take away from what is supposed to be the focal point for an audience member, but also you don't want to be dead. You don't, because that's going to reflect negatively on what the audience is bringing vibe-wise, right? So I think they have really great performance and staging and stage presence. And that's something that just translates, and they have this theatrical character that they bring to these that makes it very enjoyable. And it makes it really fun for me to find the pockets of complexity and movement, but then the complexity of so many different emotional facets going on at the same time, to where it's just the collaboration of it is very impressive to have so many people, 13 people, being just as committed to this as possible, which is incredible. And I love that they all had each other like, where'd he go? Just look at his face, so fun. He goes around and he basically slided all of them to get the goal. Super nice. But then look, now it looks like we have two teams, so we have them over there. Super great. Kudos to the choreographer for the formation transition on that. Love that. And then the airtime, bless it. He airtimed that so big. Like I said, that is just pre-injury. I don't know if I could do that now. And that's probably how some of these members feel. They're probably like, that was me 7 years ago. I could not do that. Maybe there's certain discography choreographies that they're like, please don't let us do that on tour. I really don't want to have to jump over him. My knees cannot handle it. It's just, I feel like I'm over empathizing with the older 17 that I'm going to get into eventually compared to here. For here, I'm like, oh, the good old days. It's really what it feels like. So that's what makes this fun. Just full of energy. I love it. Go da, da, da. So I say there's very slight angle things here whenever you choose to do a rotation, but also have a fixed point of an angle using with the elbows. That's just something to keep in check there. Also, we saw that there was a little crocodile in the first one. Now there's a book in this one, so I wonder if it's a trend. We're going to see a different inanimate object be their center every time. I think that's kind of fun. I like that. So you go da 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 da, and they're framing up and down, super fun. Then everybody moving in, and then you have one person come in, nice and subtle. Everyone's like, wow. And he's like, hey, back off. Very reactionary. Goes back to the theatrics. Works very well, makes me captivated and very conversational. It relates well to this. I love that. Da 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 da. And he just pulls out a random human. And they're like, me? It's really fun. It kind of feels like they're doing fan service, but they're not actually using any fans. They're just using each other. And I think that's really fun. That's fun. This right here, I know it's like Ilua or like come here is really what it feels like. So I'm assuming that that was what that is signifying. Because here it can be very derogatory to some degree, right? So I know in Korea they do this to say, hey, come here. So I think that's really fun that they're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell you. So it feels like. It feels like an excitement. I'm like, oh, you want me to come figure this out with you? Okay. And then you have, that was really nice going into not like Charleston, just more like a footwork here, moving with the heels and the toes, turning out with your arm, accenting it. They are using their chest too, and that's what makes it feel really nice here. Actually, no, they're not. They're really just allowing the torso to react, creating a fixed point of the arm, and that's why it looks like the torso is being moved, is because they're doing a great job of not letting other parts of their body be affected by the focal points that they're wanting to present. So you have your legs, They know they have to go high to low because their arm is going high to low. And so they naturally don't want this to be affected by any sort of range here when the twisting of the legs. It's polyrhythmic. So I call it polyrhythmic consideration. Like they're understanding what the polyrhythm is. They understand what has to not move, and they have to understand what does have to move. And there's micro adjustments that all of them have to make, and all of these things have to take place while you're singing, or while you're conscious of somebody singing and their focal point of how they need to present themselves in the front. So there's a lot that factors into whenever you approach choreography or you're giving choreography like this. And that's why it's very captivating, because it's very clean and you're not used to seeing complex choreo done cleanly like this, but also live, right? So I think that's super fun. Very fun. It kind of feels like they have backpacks. I don't know if they're going to have backpacks or if they had backpacks in this actual concept. Don't know, but it's really fun. It just feels very like Schoolboy Crush, right? That was nice. Boom. So they do a great job with the accents, with the legs and the arms. With your feature, taking a more subtle approach, kind of using the other feature to create a leverage to get him around in a smooth legato way while everybody else hits that staccato on the backbeat. Super fun. Love that. And it's just very subtle, really not a lot happening in the center, but they're doing a brilliant job with the choreography on the outside, which makes it very full. And the staging is great too. That's great, that boom, boom. Another example, they're allowing the shoulders to be complemented by that heel. The focal point is still in your center, but they're framing it really nicely, creating that ah in the back. Super fun. I love that. Super, super fun party right here. And so this was more like a, okay, do whatever you want, but then make sure on these counts you have to hit this in this way. Like you have to jump or you have to hop. So their groove or their pocket is all on the same page, but they're able to do whatever they want with their upper body. And that's why it feels like chaos, but it's structured chaos. And that's something that I think they're very, very good at doing well because of their commitment up here and their commitment out here. So just kind of seeing they're all traveling it back over. Love the little slight recognition, like they are actually communicating with each other, or you can see that they're working together and collaborating effectively by making eye contact and actually reacting to each other. It's not just choreographed, right? It feels very natural and organic. And then you have my guy in the back. He's calling them all over, and then they're about to pop off, going back towards the front. Super fun. That just that energy, boom, and 2, 3, 4, and boom, da 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 da. So they picked a really large extroverted movement and then brought it down to a more rigid, more grounded movement. So it just shows a drastic contrast. While even though you have a repeated phrase, they're not repeating how they're choosing to go about the texture of the tone, you know, and I really like that. And then they go into something really subtle, but boom, zoom, zoom, zoom. Just being able to, you know, have that level of understanding of your body, all of them having that level of their body, to be able to just go from something so extroverted in movement to something very subtle is very impressive. And you have to have really good control of your breathing, because a lot of times what happens is when you do a lot of extroverted movement and you're not properly regulating your breathing through it. I train dancers all the time that do this, and I struggle with it myself. Your body starts to tense up because you're not getting oxygen to your muscles. So your muscles start to constrict. So many dancers do this under adrenaline, which is why sometimes like on competition stages, you see dancers respond to the choreography differently on stage than you see them in the studio, if you don't practice regulating the muscle memory of breathing when you need to. So what's very impressive is it really feels like they've even gone so far as to make sure that they're breathing at the proper times, obviously because they'll be singing, right? Or they have phrases that they have to say, but having that's really going to help make sure everyone's on the same page on going from very large movements to very subtle movements. So mad kudos to them for that. I love that too. Notice that he's the only person that didn't really move but did do the arm as well, because it showed that he was there. But while everybody's moving quite like a basket run, but not quite, you know, because it was all on tempo. It was really nice, but your feature was really easy to spot because he was the only one that didn't move. Really great choice. Love that. Just the places. And something I'm noticing here is they take a more gimmicky route for verse 2. They really pop off in the choreography in their first verse, but even in the first verse, they had a really nice gimmick, but it was very structured. The wordplay was there. They had choreography perfectly enmeshed within it. Very fun. Here, they really do take a more acting approach. Like, that was really fun. Yeah, so this was really nice, going from really far out and then enclosing it. So they just did a great job on that transition. Really great transition move too. It's very nice to be full. It doesn't take a ton of energy to do that, but it is, I mean, they're probably pretty tired now at this point, even though it's verse 2. They did a lot of extroverted energy, and they really output a lot in that verse and that chorus. That was cool. I gotta go back and check that out. Hold on. I love they go dun dun chun dun dun. Sorry. So dun dun as they hit it. Everybody committed, even with their head. Sometimes people just use their body and their head is so glued forward. That's something I like about this, is that even the guys that have their hat on or whatever, their head is committed to it, and that's what really helps with that tonal color that they want to hit, that trap, which is really nice. And he's kind of low-key helping them respond in that. Then they do more of it feels very Toyman influence. Toyman is under popping, but it just has a more like robotic posture. I'm not saying it's really that. I'm not quoting any terminology that's exactly what they're doing. I'm saying it feels very inspired choreographically. So it's kind of like a mix of a robotic Harlem Shake. It's like do-do-do, do-do-do, you know, with no groove. But then they melt it down. And then they slowly come up like they're being recharged, and having an introduction of a new feature, because he is walking very normal and everybody else took a more robotic approach. Now he's having his moment. They're all popping, having fun. And then I love how they're walking and he pulls them closer and they're like, oh, really? And then we start our choreography again that we've done. I really like that. Da-da, maintaining eye contact. That's another thing too you see with our feature here. He's making eye contact and everybody else is looking away. That's another subtle way to know who your feature is too. And that's a really great strategic thing. Yeah, it's just, look at the, let's just have a moment of silence for their youth to be able to jump that high. Okay. Moving on. That was really smart. I don't know if I've already said that, but it was nice that he's marked it, but still went the same direction. That was a really nice subtle way to still maintain tone without overkill, without taking away from the piece. That was a really great choice. I will say that was the first kind of like dead feature interaction that I just saw, and I'm three videos deep, so I'm honest, kind of impressive. I would say that was the first. He just literally just walks forward. Now it could be his caricature that he's playing. I'm not sure. I don't know what his wordplay is. Could be that, but that was the first like, just very like I'm singing, I'm here, and then we're here. This was really nice. So they go through. So I will say though, near the tail end of this visual, you are able to kind of predict who's going to be next because you're able to see them transition into it. But I really like this from the front. I like how they're going to boom. They're not stagnant. They're doing something to help other polyrhythmic parts of the music. Even though, like, they're just doing a great job staying and interacting and staying present with the feature. They're not just there letting the feature do their thing. They're there contributing to the overall look of the set. And I really like that. This was nice. I will say he didn't quite, I mean, you can still kind of see him, so he didn't quite, I think he overshot whenever he slid out. So here, he kind of disappears just a smidgen. So that's my big note. I really like the fact whenever they're a feature in the center, they have the choice to kind of move around so they're seen a little bit better. But that's the risk you run with these types of column transitions, is that everyone's got to be on the same page, and their leg range can also vary. And I think that's if 17 has something like an overall note that I would give them, it would be not the cleanliness of the content, but the range of the movement, I think could be cleaner. So thinking about not just point A and point B, but thinking how long it takes to get from point A to point B and how you get to point A to point B. Those are really subtle things that a lot of people don't think about. A lot of people think clean, okay, make sure everyone has the same angle. But you have to make sure that everybody gets into the same angle the same way, right? And so when you deal with different heights, and I know that they're known, right? Are they known for having the the biggest height difference between everybody. I think somebody commented that, so thank you for that. And that validates my point here. Everybody's torso size is different and everybody's inseam is different. So like the length of their legs to their torso is different. So them going shoulder length across and their length here is different. So if somebody says, okay, slide shoulder length across, it's going to be different for everybody. So you have to clean it a little differently depending on who you are working with. So that would be my overall note that I think I'm going to be noticing in all of their routines, because I've noticed it in all of them so far, that the movement is clean, but the range of either it's the transition, the range of the formation, or the content itself, there is a difference between how they're getting into it, but not the finished product. But honestly, that's still very, very good and very commendable of the fact that they're still considered rookies of this video that I'm looking at. And that's my biggest note. That's a note that I give to professionals all the time. So I really think that, I mean, shout out, huge respect and kudos to what I'm watching here. That right there. So if you notice, you saw him prep out here to slide in. So my note for him, if they had never noticed that, was that not to prep onto that foot with all of your weight. Just treat it more like a rebound, but more of a subtle rebound. So you're still going with the group, but you overshoot it so you see yourself. That would just be my overall note for that. Because that not ruined the visual, but I could really tell that he was there. That was really nice. They all walked, and then you had the people that were feature facing front. Very nice. I like that little shift, and then brought back to the front. Super fun. With the run, it's just so fun. They're just kind of partying, switching places, slow motion, and then they're just having a moment on this side over here. They had a whole little, I'm gonna get you out of my way, right? Super fun. Now, I really like the fact that they confined it to a clump versus everybody spaced out, because that's really impressive. It just shows the trust that everybody's going to go the same way, because if somebody kicked the wrong way, they would have hit somebody. So now we see a little bit of that. That's from the very first video, Adore You, right? So we saw that little bit there. Love that, how he pulled them apart to walk through. It really much frames what we saw in the beginning, where they were holding hands and they kind of brought him out so he could escape from the huddle. So that little nuance was really nice. I like how he pointed down to it. That looks like an album visual, maybe? This killed me, I swear. I love it. They literally just spent the entire MANSAE can we just like raise our hands in two-step and live? I don't think I've really seen this level of this. I've normally just seen them all do it. So that was just... My only note is that they could have had him lunge, like squat down. I think it would have been really funny, and you would have really seen a true 3-tiered level. But that's so freaking funny. I love that. Then the energy right there. But now that it's still more confined, different people in the front. Still there, that we saw before, finishing it out. Good. Whoa. Finish it out. Super nice and clean. They don't look exhausted, and that kind of makes me upset, because I would be on the floor being resuscitated like in their first song if I had to do that. And there's a good chance this was not their first take. This was probably like their 5th take. I'm very impressed at just their agility and their ability and their stamina. And I know a lot of people have said that's something that they can be commended for. That is a really big skill to refine, to do it healthily. I really feel like they're able to, I can tell that they're not, I don't know. They either have a really great spirit about them, regardless of circumstances, or they are treated pretty decently to where they can maintain a sense of humanity. I hate saying that, because you guys know there's a lot of companies that don't treat their rookies very well. And it feels like they're being treated pretty decently here. Because they're still with them, right? Because you have people like BAP, they were not treated well by their company, and they had a huge lawsuit, that whole little issue. And then, you just hear that every once in a while. You just hear groups that are just not being treated well and low-key abusive. So I'm very thankful that this dynamic, it just feels very humane, I feel like I'm able to healthily enjoy it without being like, wow, they're being emotionally in turmoil behind the scenes. Like, I really don't feel like that's happening because of just how they're coming across in this and how they're interacting with each other. It just looks like they're able to be themselves, I think, which I really like. I think this is great. This is such a great, I mean, this was a great, it's just great. I think I've said that like 4 times, but yeah, it's true. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am definitely really thankful and happy of the opportunity to be able to walk through all of their dance practices in a timely manner, but also in a healthy manner for myself. I don't want to do all of them in one sitting. I don't think that's the healthiest approach. So you will see me, trickle these out over due time, because I don't like to abbreviate my perspective for the sake of time. I don't think that's really one reason why I don't make the videos the way that a lot of reactors do. And I'm not saying that's what they do, but I really wanted to provide as much information to what I watch as possible, which is why I started these from the get-go, because I wanted to be a reactor that I would want to watch. So I'm thankful for those of you who are tuning in to watch me on this journey. Very much appreciate it. And if you want to see more content from me, you can always just hang out here on YouTube. I also have a Patreon where all of these videos, including this one, are going to be up first, way longer on there than before they get released on YouTube. So if you're a fan of K-pop, if you're a fan of dance in general, there's a ton of stuff already there on Patreon for you to binge and enjoy. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side.